Right, let's talk more now. As you see, John Gibbons from the Anfield Wrap awaits us. So, good afternoon to you, John. I guess it's not the best of afternoons. What do you feel? I mean, Jurgen Klopp said he can't explain it at the moment. What do you think's going wrong?
Listen, if Jurgen can't explain it, then I'm not sure I can either. But it certainly seems like a lot of things are conspiring against us at the moment to see some very poor performances. A couple of weeks ago at Brighton, Jurgen Klopp said it was the worst any of his teams had ever played, and I thought they were worse against Wolves, to be honest with you. They don't seem to have a huge amount of energy. They don't seem to have a huge amount of even motivation at the moment, or a plan for how they're going to score goals. They're conceding too many as well. Everywhere you look on the pitch, there's problems at the moment. There's obviously a few injuries, but all clubs have injuries, and the teams that we're putting out should be better than what we're seeing at the moment. So it's really frustrating. We're 10th in the league, and you can't argue with that, because all season really we haven't looked at it, but at the moment it's particularly poor.
Yeah, I mean, there was the big discussion, wasn't there, about the amount of games that they'd played in terms of the 63 games. And Jurgen's already talked about that and said, actually, my watch says February, so how long are we going to kind of harp on about that? We need to get down to business. Can you understand why the players would be so fatigued? Because is that what you're seeing, a little bit of fatigue still?
Yeah, I think mental and physical fatigue were definitely a factor, earlier in the season. It was a shorter summer because of the World Cup. We played every possible game, and there's also the emotional stuff, and something that Thiago, the midfielder's talked about, is the highs and lows and how much that takes out of you. So we understand that they are human beings after all, and they've given us, so many wonderful nights and days watching this team over, not just last year, but the last 5 years has been a brilliant time to be a Liverpool fan. So you don't want to, bury the heroes, the ones that we lofted and we had the parades for. But at the same time, Jurgen's right, it does get to the point where you think, well, you can't keep using that as an excuse. There was a World Cup break, which some of the players went, but we only had 7 there, I think, and not too many playing every time. So there's a big break there, and we've come back from the World Cup, and Andy Robertson said it, we've looked worse, since that, really. So at some point, they need to get back together. You feel like they're feeling sorry for themselves a little bit. They go 1-0 down and the heads drop, and there used to be the mentality monsters and nothing, could stop them, whereas now it feels like any little setback, and they're feeling sorry for themselves, going into the shells and looking around for leadership, looking at each other instead of being the one that steps up. So tough to watch at the moment, and yeah, Merseyside Derby here next week, and they'll be up for it, so we need to match it.
Yeah, they certainly will. It'll be interesting to see what Everton can do in terms of them at the moment. Look, Jamie Carragher said he'd change every person at the football club before he changes Jurgen Klopp. Would you agree with that statement?
I mean, we love the players as much as we love the manager, but it's interesting because Jurgen Klopp went through a similar thing at Borussia Dortmund after a similar amount of time, where it looked like the players weren't really responding or reacting like they were to him. They got rid of the manager because it's easier, but I think they regretted it. Really, I think one of the executives, went on record a year or so later saying, maybe we should have changed the players instead. He's a hero here, Jurgen Klopp, for absolutely everything that he's done. So, if it is a choice there, we probably will keep him, but we're hoping it doesn't get to that, really, and the hope is that they can finish this season strongly, get a few in the summer, spend a bit of money hopefully, and that rejuvenates everyone, because there's still talent here, and I'm sure there's still motivation to some, well, for just some reason they're in this awful funk at the moment they can't get out of.
The midfield's always questioned, isn't it? That's the one area that everyone says, Liverpool really need to sort out. Jamie Carragher was also saying that they should crawl to the end of the season and sign as many 5 players in the summer. Is that something that you'd agree with? You said we need more through the door. Liverpool, I should say, need more through the door. Showing my bias there.
Yeah, well, it's difficult, isn't it, to put a number on how many they need, because you don't know the level. Listen, if they want Jude Bellingham, then it's £130 million maybe plus, so that doesn't necessarily leave a lot. But they've been clever in the transfer market in the past. They've got some players in for, say, £20-30 million that quickly look worth double that. So, you look around and it looks like, I think we need another centre-half at the moment. I think the drop-off's too much, and there was problems there. Midfield's an obvious thing, and then the forward line from there to Firmino moves on, then they maybe need another one. So it doesn't take long to get up to 5 really, but how much they cost and the impact that they need to, make, we'll sort of wait and see really. But listen, the owners, whoever that is in the summer, because that's a big question mark, and that's another factor at the moment potentially, is how much uncertainty is around that. Whether it's FSG or new owners in the summer, they certainly need to spend. How many players that is, we'll wait and see. But the new legs, new cavalry is needed, the new energy is needed to be brought to this football club for sure.
John, though, would you be concerned about the calibre of those players? Because I guess if they're not in Champions League places, which at the moment they're not looking like they're going anywhere near the Champions League, you might not be getting in the players that you really want or need.
It doesn't worry me in terms of the players. I think Liverpool Football Club is still huge, and we've seen when other big Champions League, it's not necessarily affected the players that they can get if it's just sort of 1 year. I think, for example, Sancho goes to Manchester United when they were in the Europa League and things like that, which is a similar move from Dortmund here into the Premier League, and there's lots of ambition. I think Jurgen Klopp is still a huge draw to sort of work with him, and so if he's still the manager, which I'm sure he will be, I think Liverpool is still a massive draw. It's as much the financial knock-on effect really. It's hundreds of millions of pounds, isn't it, to go into the Champions League. So if that goes out, if they still got the money to do what they need to do, are the owners, whoever they are, willing to sort of step up and bridge that gap? It's more that concern for me. But listen, this club will always be a draw.
OK. Look, just finally, John, let's turn our attentions to the big news that we've had today as well from Manchester City. Just what are your thoughts on what we've seen from the Premier League today?
Yeah, it came out of nowhere for all of us from Man City as well, if you believe their statement. And it is an interesting one because, it's been so tough for Liverpool to compete over the last 4 or 5 years and sort of other clubs before that against the might, of state-owned football clubs, which is what sort of, Man City are. And so, you've got to sort of do the best you can with the situation, and then stuff like this comes out and you think, well, if it is true and it's obviously yet to be completely proven, then it's even more you're fighting with one hand behind your back. But that's the reality that Liverpool have faced. I think it's going to drag on and on, to be honest with you. We see what happens. The European one wasn't quick, and I think this is going to be a few years, and so we'll see. We'll all be following it, but hey, maybe if they want to give us a title for 2013-14, we'll take it. And the away fans who come here might need some new songs to sing about Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen somehow, but thank you very much for your thoughts, John. OK, thanks, John.